Hello, logic students. Dr. Shell here. I just wanted to give you a little feedback on the first set of logical problems that I gave you, and I'm going to walk through them individually and sort of talk through what the correct answer is and feedback a little bit on what you provided. Most of the time, you're going to see my Lego sig fig, but I thought maybe you'd like to see the real me just to say you did. That I'm a real person. I'm not some kind of cyborg from Russia teaching a logic class. So anyway, I'm really glad you're in this class. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a lot of hard work. Logic requires real careful attention to details. If you've had other philosophy classes, philosophy, ethics, medical ethics, they tend to be a little more sort of trying to tease out what your feelings are about the right decision and then backing it up with solid reasons. But two people could come to very different conclusions. Logic is different. Logic is very precise, and there are right answers and there are wrong answers based on the pattern of the logic. And we're going to work our way through those. I don't expect you to know those right now. We're going to look at categorical logic. We're going to look at propositional logic. We're going to work our way through a lot of these different types of ways of thinking, but they're very precise and rigorous. So you probably want to make sure that you join in on those Monday talk sessions, office hours, so we can talk them through. But I'm really glad you're in this class, and I'm looking forward to it's a small class. I think there's only about 10 of us. So we should be able to do some serious work together. I'm working on developing my online teaching skills, so I'm going to be trying out some techniques on you guys that I've been learning and see how they work out. I use you as my little guinea pig. So thank you very much, and I'll walk you through those examples.
Okay, so let's look at this one. If I lose the election, then there was election fraud. I lost the election, therefore there was election fraud. This argument actually has a name. This is called modus totum, and you'll learn that as we go along. This is a valid logic form. Remember, as I said in the intro video, there is the form of the argument that's like the blueprint, and then there's the material that the argument is made out of, and that is the premises and whether they are true or false, strong or weak. In this case, the logic is absolutely valid, but there is a false premise. If I lose the election, there was election fraud. There are other ways to lose the election. You could simply get outvoted. You could lose the election because something was found to be wrong with your candidacy, so you're actually not eligible to run. Maybe they find out you're from a foreign country. So the premise is wrong. So even though the argument is valid, the conclusion is uncertain because the setup is invalid, even though it's valid, but it's unsound because there is a false premise. And so this one looks similar, but it's very different. If I win the election, the election was fair. The election was fair, therefore I won. Now, this one actually falls down twice. One of them is we have the same problem as in the first one. If I win, the election was fair. The election could be fair and you could still lose. Maybe you just got outvoted, right? So there are other ways to win an election, and just because it's fair doesn't guarantee that you're going to be the winner. So this one is, but it's also, this one is invalid. The structure is wrong. We're going to learn that this is called affirming the antecedent, affirming the consequent, which you can't do. The first line, if I win, the election is fair. The election was fair. And this is an attempt to affirm the back half of the first line. And you can't do that. You'll find out why later. But so this one is both unsound because of a false premise, and it's invalid because its structure is wrong. And I suspect many of you found that even though you couldn't necessarily technically expel it out, but you felt like something wasn't quite right about it. And that's good. You can trust your gut. And then what we need to do is use the rules of logic to validate what your gut is telling you. Okay, and here's another one that, again, you probably were able to realize that it was wrong, but again, you weren't able to sort of tag it with the technical reasons, and that's what we're here for this whole semester. This is called a categorical syllogism, and it basically says that you take the first line and the second line, and it leads to the third line. That's the way that all arguments go. And this is called categorical because you're speaking in broad categories. No politicians, all Dr. Shells, and no Dr. Shells are politicians. And then you're making a conclusion. Therefore, all Dr. Shells are honest. Notice that what I've done is I've made Dr. Shell a category. You'll learn that when we deal with categorical statements, proper nouns are in a category by themselves, right? Think about it. The White House, the Liberty Bell, Dr. Shell. There's only one of them. That's why we capitalize them. They're proper nouns. So proper nouns are in a category by themselves. But the reason this one is wrong is that the structure is wrong. The form is wrong. You're going to learn there's a simple rule. You can't have two negative premises. Right? You have no politicians and you have no Dr. Shells are politicians. And then you try to draw a positive conclusion from two negative premises. So one of the rules of categorical logic is you can't have two negative premises. Now, this is the power of logic. In other words, I don't even have to think about whether or not the statement is true because the logic is bad. And if the logic's bad, I don't know, the conclusion has no value. And so I can just simply rule it out of bounds because the setup is wrong. And I don't have to give it any more of my energy or attention. All right, so that's just a little feedback on our first set of discussions. And I'm really glad you're in this class. I will tell you that if you took a summer class because you thought, well, this will be an easy way to take care of 3 credits in the humanities, that's a false premise. Now, this is a fast way. You can get 3 credits in under 2 months, so it's definitely a fast way to earn 3 credits in the humanities, but it's not the easy way. So we've got a lot of ground to cover. There is a lot of reading and a lot of videos to watch to sort of master this material. And you're going to have to take really good notes. You're going to have to work with those notes, and then you're going to have to put that stuff in your essays to demonstrate that you've mastered those forms. So again, be sure to join me in my office on Monday nights, and we can talk through the material and look forward to our time together. I really, really love this class. I think critical thinking is vital these days, and I'm glad you took the time and the commitment to get in on a class that's going to deal with all this. So this is Dr. Shell sauntering on.